one of the main narratives around AI is that the companies and different infrastructures that are built using AI are going to have to use mass amounts of energy to run. And part of the long term trajectory for that movement in AI is leaning up against the potential of quantum computing. So, quantum computing companies are starting to gain a lot of momentum, and we could see the last few years really start to pick up for the companies. But the question is there a reason why? And as you can see in this video, we're going to be covering QBTS. There's also a mix of companies that might not have the legitimacy, but just have the marketing. And you could look at that with like QUBT. Personally, I forget what their financials look like, but there's this stock called QUBT, Quantum Computing. They had recently changed their market cap from something else. They were a different type of company, and they changed it to this. They have only 46 employees, and their revenue is negative 50 million a quarter, with revenue of just really under like 100K. And their last quarterly financials came in $39,000. So like it doesn't make any sense. It's up to a billion. What is that? $1.8 billion market cap. So it's just simply getting pumped. Like that's what I'll tell you for the types of companies that have really good marketing or that are out in the newsrooms, and investors that don't know any better are buying them. Now, there's also some companies that are doing legitimate things. Why do you see Google announce the Willow chip? Why do we see Microsoft announce the Majorana chip, the quantum chip? Why do we see Nvidia add the quantum computing side of their business to be more serious, as they announced in GTC 2025 back in March? Why do we see Amazon introduce the quantum ocelot chip for quantum computing? The reason is because if we're going to see advancements, just like going from CPU to GPU, or from floppy disks to, memory cards, from memory cards to USBs to SDs, or what have you, to getting to the point where we got solid state drives that are tiny and these massive, powerful computers are just in our hands. There is this evolution of technology, and with QBTS, they're one of the companies that are in that conversation. You got IonQ is in that conversation, and Rigetti is in that conversation as well. So when we're looking at the moves with QBTS recently, they're at the all-time highs. They just broke above their 52-week high, up into $12.66. This is a move that now is indicating there's an overextension, and based on their recent earnings, I don't know that it was really evident that there is a real reason why the stock would surge as high as it's surging. But let's just take a look. $3.5 billion market cap. The recent financials in March came in net income negative $5 million, with revenue increasing year over year there, up to $15 million in that quarter. So it's better revenue. They saw an increase, and they say it's mostly due to their recent sales of their quantum system to that German Jülich system, and I believe it's pronounced. And I got to talk with some of them at the Qubits conference. I got to talk with people. We were sitting right next to. I was sitting with Majid, the quantum bull, on my right, and then on the left we have this guy from Jülich from Germany, and he was part of the company that purchased the quantum computer from Qubits. In that, we get to see different companies that were involved in maybe working with D-Wave from Boeing. Not maybe, they are working with them. Then you have one of the companies that was watching to see what was going on was Anduril. So you have some of these big big companies looking at the quantum tech, but their one sale out to a German company, kind of out, pretty far away from where you might expect to see more quantum computers get purchased. Like, I think a big indication would be they're selling computers to Microsoft and to Apple or to Nvidia. And, that's the way that I would see it. That's like the first validation of extreme advantage would come when you see some of the biggest players move on it. In my eyes, that's how I would see it. But when we got to meet the CEO, Alan Barrett's here at QBTS, and what we noticed is that they're overall in a place where it almost seems like they have this unique positioning with their chips and their quantum computers seem to, whether they're more effective as it is claimed on their site, so we could go to their site, whether it's more effective or faster than GPUs, or it's not, or maybe those claims are correct. Maybe, there's some benchmarks that show that that is the case, and that's exciting. But at the same time, there's also maybe a lack of transparency around the computing power of the benchmarks. But nevertheless, let's say this quantum computer, this setup here, is it really is beating out, let's say, GPUs. It's like starting to become even better than GPUs. Let's just say that that's something that happens in the near term. Like, it's not fully proven that that has happened yet, because otherwise we would see massive purchases of this system in the hundreds of millions of dollars and see hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts, and it would happen very quickly. Now, there's also the news side of things, is that that's the direction that they're now in a journey of reaching and progressing towards. If they are to reach that in full transparency, we would see most of the biggest tech companies purchase and utilize these quantum computers. Does that make sense? Like, if they're not being used, because that's what we look for in the market. Quantum, in any market, which is our first step of analysis, it's how much usage is there, or what are the profits and the revenues and the money being generated. And then the second piece is there actual usage. And so while there is some usage from some companies, what we're looking for with D-Wave is really that usage from some of the bigger companies and really clear results that are being given to those bigger companies. And it doesn't have to be a huge company. I'm not looking for, it doesn't have to be Apple. It could be a smaller company. And that's great. And we see some of those partnerships. But what we're looking for is really new articles that show that. And so that's why we're fascinated by the technology, as they've recently introduced something for blockchain architecture, which is interesting as well. I feel like quantum computers would be the thing that would really facilitate the future of security for blockchain. So I do see that as a fitting move. I don't see it as spreading themselves too thin or anything like that. So in the news side, things look okay. They need some more, if they're really having the type of technology that they're claiming, not that they aren't, but it would make sense in my eyes that they would have millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts as a result of having this technology. It's not like the other companies don't know about it. As I mentioned, a lot of multi-billion-dollar executive companies, executives from multi-billion-dollar companies were at the conference looking at the technology and saying, how can we use this, or would it make sense for us to transfer to D-Wave as opposed to GPUs or what have you. And so far, we didn't see maybe as much usage from those multi-billion-dollar company interests that you might expect from a tech that would be fully at a breakthrough point. So that's all that I'm saying there for the news. And when it comes to the recent charts, as we mentioned here, we said it could break out further and could continue this trend. And in fact, did push up even more up to 1266, but we do see it at a resistance now. The main focus for D-Wave, if we see it hold these levels, maybe pull back down into these $10 ranges and it finds a support at $10.30, and then it starts to maybe make this swing, see the info line, that would be a swing back up of 22%, something like that. Then maybe we trade it early in next week if the quantum market still has that momentum. And if we do, it will be in our daily live sessions in Stockmates. If you guys are trying to grow your portfolios, investing in quantum, AI, space tech, and build the type of portfolio that's focused on you capitalizing on this golden age of AI and finding the cutting edge companies that are a part of it, then I would encourage you to join us in Stockmates at Market Open. If you ever want to be in our daily live sessions, it's the second link down below. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.